Hello everyone, I'm Father Hayes back with Allison, and I've been very happy to hear a lot of requests and a lot of positive feedback from our previous videos on movie recommendations. So, responding to the requests I've been getting, I thought we haven't done another movie recommendation for a little bit. So, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the news today. With a lot of the different issues in the different cities and in our country. So I wanted to try to address some of these to try to be on somewhat of a topic, the topic at hand. But at the end also, you gotta have something to laugh about. And so we'll try to put in a few fun movies, a few just entertaining movies, nice little escape from the craziness of the world around us. I think with all recommendations, you always have to say, parents, these are all, you need to review these first. I try to make sure I'm finding things that are, when I can identify them as family friendly, we'll try to identify them as family friendly, but just the way they do the movies today, they're always maybe slipping something in here or there that I may not be aware of or may have forgotten about. So, so my kind of broad statement on all my movie recommendations is, parents, you may want to just preview it first, and then make the decision about, who you want to share this with. There are a couple that I think I will definitely say might be for more of a mature audience in terms of the subject matter. But I'm trying to do things that are as family friendly as possible, but also addressing the issues that we have to be addressing in our country. So the first thing, and Allison and I had talked about some of these things the other day. The first one I want to recommend is John Adams, starring Paul Giamatti. Now, last time I think I did this, and instead of bringing in a whole stack of movies or a whole stack of books for a later video, I tried to just do little mini posters.
A little preview.
So, John Adams is a mini series on HBO if you're not familiar with it. For the most part, I think it's very wide audience. Even though it's HBO, parents, you might want to just preview it, as I said. But overall, this was very well done, and good examination of the events at the founding of our country. Focusing on the person of John Adams, played extremely well by Paul Giamatti. So very well done. I think everybody who's seen this has really enjoyed the series, and both for the entertainment value, but also to just get a flavor for the history of our country. And that's one of the things that I think we need to either discover or rediscover is our history. And there's a lot of good there. There's some things that we have to be honest about. But we don't want to just erase our history, we want to understand our history. So that's my first recommendation. Staying with the history theme, but also kind of addressing some of the racial issues that have been talked about. Another just incredibly excellent movie is Glory. Glory stars Matthew Broderick. I think this is probably Matthew Broderick's one of his best movies. And Denzel Washington was known, but I think this is one of the movies that really put him on the map. And then, of course, Morgan Freeman. About the first black regiment that was raised to fight on the side of the Union in the Civil War. Excellent movie, excellent acting, good sense of our history, and just really well done. So that's.
I like the history recommendations because I think for a lot of people, the last time they thought about history was in high school history class.
Right.
So this could be good to
and
explore.
we'll continue the theme of history in the next video we do, which will be on some book recommendations. Keeping with the movies and keeping with the theme of our tensions in terms of racial tensions, but also just good storytelling, good character development. One of the best movies that I've ever seen is, now I didn't do the movie poster, I think this is a scene from the movie In the Heat of the Night, starring Sidney Poitier and and I believe that's Rod Steiger. My brain is freezing up here for a second, so I think it's Rod Steiger. But you can see in this picture, I don't know how well the camera's getting it, that they don't really like each other. It's a kind of a north versus south, or north meets south theme there. There's the racial tensions. But the character development, the acting, some of the best lines in movie history. Sidney Poitier is great in this, and everybody's great. It's a very well done movie. So this one I'd recommend again. It's got some mature themes, so parents just you might want to preview it. But it's one of the classics.
That's great. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't heard of that, you probably haven't heard of this one either. This one, I really enjoyed this. Now, I haven't seen it for a long time. This is called A Soldier's Story. It's a good old-fashioned whodunit.
Okay.
All right, so
Sounds good already.
There's a murder investigation, but it's also dealing with the issue of racism and racial tensions. And I have to admit, I'm trying to remember who the main star is. He kind of came and went, and I don't think he's as well known. There are a lot of familiar faces. Howard Rollins. So Howard Rollins is the star of the movie that you see on the poster here. He was also actually in the TV series In the Heat of the Night with Carol O'Connor, who of course played Archie Bunker. So that was Harold Rollins' kind of claim to fame.
Okay.
But this movie has a lot of familiar faces, including a very young Denzel Washington. So, but very well done. Like I said, it's a whodunit. So it's kind of gives a flavor of the time period, the tensions, but also it's just a good story. Okay.
It's good so far.
Now, Allison, this is the one you and I
That's
talked
right.
about yesterday.
Yeah, I'm curious if you at home have heard of this. I had never heard of it.
Yeah, I think we looked it up. I think it was early 2000s. So this is a movie called Crash. It was I think it won the Academy Award, and definitely for more mature audiences. The thing that's really good about this movie is, it's dealing with racism. It's dealing with the way people can mistreat each other. But the thing that I like about this, and this is what we talked about yesterday, was the characters are very well developed. And I think they're very reflective of real people, in the sense that they're not good or bad, right? They're not one extreme or the other. There are multiple facets to each character. So, and it got a pretty good who's cast. A lot of familiar faces. Matt Dillon, who's, maybe not as well known today as he was years ago, is one of the stars. And he plays a police officer in L.A., and not without going in depth into the story. But at one point in the movie, does some pretty bad things in terms of the way he treats other people. But what's great is you see him, the full spectrum of the character, because without giving anything away, he also does some incredibly heroic things too. So this would be a good movie that might spawn some good discussion afterwards. But as I said, this is probably more for adult audiences. Okay, so that's kind of more of the serious movies.
Okay.
All right.
See what
Now
you got
we
next.
have to get into some fun movies. Because you have to have a balance. So this is one I don't think is as well known. Quiz show.
Okay.
All right.
I think I've heard you mention it.
Okay, but
I've
you haven't
never
seen it.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, so this movie Quiz Show is directed by Robert Redford, and it stars Ralph Fiennes and John Turturro, among others. Just another one of those ones that has a lot of familiar faces. And it's a docudrama about there's a game show in the 50s called 21. And it's a quiz show, sort of like what we're used to today with all the, Wheel of Fortune and name that price and all that stuff. The Price is Right. This one, there was a scandal that really kind of, I guess, shook people in the 50s because, they tuned into their quiz shows as a kind of an escape from the day, the end of the day, kind of way to unwind. And they identified with some of these contestants who were very successful. And Ralph Fiennes plays a particularly true to life person, and it's kind of his rise and fall within the context of the scandal. Very well done. Good acting, good storytelling, and an enjoyable movie. A little bit more of a serious topic, but still an enjoyable movie.
So many people are into trivia right now. So that might be interesting too.
Now we're going to get into some more that just we need some fun, we need some laughs.
Okay.
All right. Silverado. I think many people probably have heard of this. Also kind of has a good who's who of who were kind of somewhat known names back in the day. This features a very young Kevin Costner and a fairly young Danny Glover. And it's just a good old-fashioned Western. So it's a lot of fun. Now these next two are, I have a place in my heart for these. And this is the Superman movie with Christopher Reeve. And may he rest in peace. And so I'd recommend Superman 1 and Superman 2.
Double feature night.
Double feature night. These definitely, I think, would be family friendly for everybody. I remember seeing Superman 1. Actually, I saw them both in the theater a couple times. They were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They were good adventure, a little on the campy side, but not too bad. Still had some big names in it. Gene Hackman plays Lex Luthor, and a couple other familiar faces. But just fun movies. So those would be ones I would recommend. And it might also be a good reminder, one of the things I talk about a lot is praying for the souls in purgatory. So it might be a good reminder for us to pray for Christopher Reeve, who his career sadly was cut short, if you didn't know, when he was in an accident riding a horse and he was paralyzed and then died from complications years later. And the next one is The Freshman. Okay.
Heard of it, haven't seen it.
Heard of it, but haven't seen it. This, again, parents, you might want to just preview it. It's a little bit of innuendo, but by today's standards, I think it's okay. Not too bad. But it's a bit of a spoof on The Godfather. Now, of course, I could recommend The Godfather in a whole other series of movie talks. I think
that could
The
be a whole
Godfather
video.
is a great movie. Marlon Brando, and again, Matthew Broderick. I think this was a really good Matthew Broderick movie, too. Fun story. Again, lighthearted, and just a good escape. Good, if I remember correctly, good laughs, and again, like I said, a little bit of a spoof on The Godfather.
I recognize this one.
All right, this one I think many people would probably recognize. Again, you have to notice, there's probably some things that some parents may want to preview before deciding who they would share it with in terms of a family night, movie night. But Clue, the movie Clue, based on the board game. And I remember when this was in the theater, depending on which showing you would go to, you would have one of three endings. So you didn't get all three endings.
I don't think I knew that.
Did you know there were three endings to the movie?
I didn't know.
There are three different endings to the movie.
Wow.
And
Can you still
so
see
part
that?
of the fun, well, in the when they show it now, they put all three together.
So maybe that's why.
But when you would go to the theater, you might get ending 1, ending 2, or ending 3.
That's so cool.
Also a pretty good cast of characters, several of whom have since passed away. Madeline Kahn has passed away, and I think Tim Curry might have passed away too. So again, good reminder of people to be praying for as well. But this is a good, lighthearted, again with some disclaimers, but a lighthearted, fun movie.
Last one.
Last one.
Okay.
I don't know. Are you familiar with this one?
I'm not.
Soap dish. Soap dish. Now again, parents, I would say preview it. There's probably some stuff you might want to not have the younger kids seeing. But again, by today's standards, it's pretty tame. It's a spoof on soap operas.
Okay.
And
Already sounds great.
it's very wide broadcast. Sally Field is kind of the main lead, along with Kevin Kline. Robert Downey Jr., a fairly young Robert Downey Jr., way before he was Iron Man.
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg is another one. And as I said, it's a spoof movie. It's a fun movie about soap operas. And so I've seen this a couple times. There's a particular scene for me that is laugh out loud, almost break a rib funny to me. Now, maybe other people won't get it as best, but it's a fun movie. So those are my recommendations in terms of some movie viewing. I hope you all enjoy them and take them for what they're worth in terms of good examination of our history, maybe a good movie to help generate some discussion about the current situation in our country with race, and also some good, just fun movies to escape the craziness of the world around us. All right, so for Allison, this is Father Hayes, hoping you enjoy some movie time this weekend, or this summer. God bless.